Hello and welcome back to the Chiem experience. Today, what I'm going to be talking about is Seneca on the shortness of life. And then after that, I'm probably going to get into all the other podcast topics. But first thing I'm going to start with is I just read yesterday the book, Seneca on the shortness of life. It's actually an essay, sorry. And in that essay, there's a few pretty key concepts that Seneca talked about that I really enjoyed. So I'm going to share what I learned first. One of the quotes from the book: "Life is short, art is long. Art is long. Life is short, art is long." Now, what does that mean? This was said by Aristotle originally, and you can have a couple of different interpretations on it. The one interpretation that I really enjoyed was art is long, meaning any sort of skill, any sort of expertise, any sort of field is an art. Sales is an art. NASCAR is a different art. Playing sports is an art. Obviously, painting is an art, right? Art is it takes a long time to master any one of these skills, while life is short. You only get 180 years on this earth. It might take you 50 to reach that true mastery level at any one given art. Life is short, art is long. So what that means, I would couple this with a quote that I heard from Tai Lopez. His mother used to tell him, "Tai, you can do anything, but you can't do everything." So you got to choose an art, and you got to really put in the years, the effort to develop that skill at any given art. And the main thing to focus on here is your life is short. So you can't do everything. You can't become the best at everything. Realistically speaking, you're not going to be a Renaissance man, while you should still be a Renaissance man, which is kind of interesting, little bit of a back and forth there. But yeah. Anyways, the other big things big lessons that you could get from this book is our time is so valuable. Your time that you're gifting me, and I want to thank you. So thank you. And you might say, what for? Thank you for gifting me your time, because your time is literally the only thing you have that it's not coming more. You're not adding more onto it. We tend to live our lives as if we have unlimited time, but we got to realize our time is limited, and after that, that's done. People often will stress about losing money, right? I just lost $100,000, let's say, but you can earn that money back. You lose 10 years off your life, there's nothing you can do to get that back, because it's gone. And that's something that we often forget. Let me see if I have the quote here. Let me see. I have a good quote here. Let me make this full screen. No, this one here. This is a quote from the book. "No one lets anyone seize his estates, and if a trivial dispute arises about boundary lines, there's a rush to stones and arms." So he's saying right now, nobody, people are pretty fucking miserly, cheap, anal when it comes to their money and their homes, and crossing off the boundary lines. They'll go ham about it. They're going to start attacking each other if people get on their boundaries. But people let others trespass on their existence, or rather, they go so far as to invite in those who'll take possession of their lives. You'll find no one willing to distribute his money, but to how many people each of us shares out his life. Many are thrifty in guarding their private property, but as soon as it comes to wasting time, they are most extravagant with one commodity for which it's respectable to be greedy. Basically, what Seneca is saying to us in this quote here is he's saying that basically you are so cheap with your money, you're so cheap with your physical possessions, but you're so generous with your time. The one thing you should be cheap on, the one thing you can't, continue to get more of. It's running out constantly, and we tend to forget that. Another good quote I want to just read to you from the book here. "It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Life is long and has been given to us in generous measure for accomplishing the greatest things, if the whole of it is well invested. But when life is squandered through soft and careless living, and when it's spent on no worthwhile pursuit, death finally presses, and we realize that life which we didn't notice passing has passed away. So it is. The life we are given isn't short, but we make it so. We're not ill-provided, but we are wasteful of life. Just as impressive and princely wealth is squandered in an instant when it passes into the hands of a poor manager, but wealth, however modest, grows through careful development. If it is entrusted to a responsible guardian, just so our lifetimes offers ample scope to the person who maps it out well. That was a fucking mouthful. Basically what that quote is saying is that oftentimes people talk about how they don't have time, or that they didn't have enough time to do X, Y, and Z. But you got time. You got plenty of time. Life is long if you know how to use it. We've been given generous measure of time to accomplish great things. We spend too much time doing things that aren't really worthwhile, whether that's on Netflix, watching TV, doing anything that's not getting you towards your goal, or letting you live your best life. Okay, I think you could say that maybe watching all the movies in the world might lead you to accomplishing your greatest feat. I don't know. But but a lot of us spend time doing things that aren't getting us towards our great feat. And that is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. So you might say, Matt, what do we do? Well, be stingy. The next thing here I wrote down is we have to learn to lead a life that you want. High success comes with its own cost. Be aware of your own life and what you want to live. Oh, in the book, Seneca talks a lot about Augustus, one of the political candidates in ancient Rome. Problem with Augustus was he wanted to live a life of pretty much relaxing, something more meditation, like by a pond maybe. But he ended up living the political life, and he had to constantly be in the hustle and bustle of Roman politics. At the end of his life, he was saying that how he still wanted to go live a nice and relaxed life, but never got to, for paying the price of being a high-profile political candidate. What Seneca is alluding to is we got to choose the goal that we actually want. Okay, and I think Gary Vee would say this just comes down to a big game of self-awareness and knowing what you actually want. But he said, don't choose to go after riches. Too many men go after riches just because, it's what everybody else does or what they thought they wanted, to figure out that the real activity that they wanted to do was passing by the whole time. And after they got the riches, it was too late and they died, basically. So, yeah. I have a few more quotes here. They're just the same quotes I just read to you. So that's what I got from Life is Short, or The Shortness of Life. Very interesting book, if you haven't given it a read. Anything else? So the other thing that I'm going to talk about in this podcast is the meditation retreat. So I'm at a point in my life right now. Very interesting point in my life. Very, very interesting. I would say I'm about to graduate university. Right? I'm 2 weeks out from graduating. And I have no clue what I'm going to do. But the one thing I do know is it's going to be amazing. I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm going to go on some sort of adventure. And I'm so excited for what life is going to bring. I'll tell you what I'm developing. I don't know where they're going to go. I'm helping one friend right now become a sales guy. I guess you could call him coaching. I'm not charging him anything. I don't expect any money for it. But I'm helping him. It's cool to help see. I'm kind of like keeping him on track a little bit and talking to him every day and just kind of goal setting with him. And it's kind of interesting seeing how he's going to progress. I think he might make a very good amount of money this next month. I'm also helping another business with the online portion, and I have a few prospects to reach out to. Say, this first business doesn't work out, I can reach out to the other ones. The only thing is, I already have, I would say, a very high level of trust with this first business. They trust me. They trust my advising. So I have the opportunity here, I say, to make a good impact and really, get some results. I hope I can. I don't know. I guess we'll see. At the very least, it will be learning, which is, am I okay with that? And the other thing I'm considering is going on a meditation retreat. I just talked to a friend of mine, Brett. he just got off the meditation retreat, and he talked about how it really changed his perspective. I had a firsthand experience of watching a guy go from, what was this guy like before he went to meditation retreat and what he was like afterwards. And he talked very highly about it, talked about how it gave him a new perspective on life in general. He's just so much more grateful for everything that there is. And he for himself realized that basically material possessions are very, very, very much passing, and he has a whole nother kind of take on that. I like that. That's something that I relate to it, but I don't. I everything he says, I think is true. But there's something about understanding. I don't know what it is, but sometimes you don't understand something until you feel it deeply inside of you. I feel like intellectually I understand everything he said, everything that I just said right now. And I might even say I believe in that, but do I believe in that? I don't know. But I do believe, all the things that are in front of us are passing. I get it. We got to start identifying with suffering. There is no real suffering. It's just kind of life. But I really am a rookie in this subject, and I would love to go to a meditation retreat and just get a little bit of immersion to see what it was like. It'd be an interesting experience to have in your life belt too, I would argue. So considering going there in maybe a month or two. Other than that, I'm going to end the podcast now. Reason being, I haven't read enough today. I might have only read maybe 1 hour. I want to get another good. It's 9:20 tonight. I go to sleep at 2 a.m., so I want to get another good 3 hours in, hopefully. I think that's 2 to 3 hours. That's pretty reasonable. So have a good night, guys. And email me if you want to be a guest on this podcast. Chiem, MATTCHIEM01 @gmail.com. If you want to be on this podcast, email me. Make your fucking subject line pop out so I actually see it. I don't know. Get my attention somehow. I'm sure I read my emails, so you know what I mean? I should be able to see it, but yeah. So email me and I'll totally have you on. Have a good night, guys.